Okay. Hi, it's Robin. Today we're dealing with the aspects in greater depth. And really when I work with aspects, I really work on them very simply because the aspects are between the planets. And my main focus is always, you want to fix the aspect, fix each planet, make each planet work better at each end of it. And there'll always be the stress, but they can work from one level to another. So if there's stress, you got more work to do. A little more effort takes a little, but that's normal for you. And then it's when you see someone else doesn't have stress, you go, what? But it's the planets are the energies. The aspects don't define, they're just the frequencies between people and or between the planets. So, but there's a lot of material that go into reading aspects. It's easy to look at a chart, say an aspect, oh, you're like this or you're like this, and it's really off center because it's not directing, it's not listening to the planet properly, it's listening to the aspect and letting the aspect determine the planet. You know, let's say you got the marriage aspect, you're doomed. No. Each person's gonna make what happens out of it. You know, so, and it can change. So planets are like that. They just, so even though it's important to know the deeper sides of it and then other aspects, there's so many things. In the end, in my work, this is in the phases of the moon, yes. In certain ways, we see the phases of the moon set the standard for the aspects. And there's two levels around. One is the 8 phases, the 8 trigrams, the 8 and each phase has its own 4 waxing, 4 waning phases that have that. Then you have the sun moon signs, and there's a relationship to each of the other 11 signs at the moon. As the moon goes around, it goes through the 12 signs. So there's 12 aspects that can be making to the sun from each sign. And then those are 2 ways of assessing, like comparing the sun sign, moon sign to assess the aspect, or comparing the phase of the moon to see the aspect, because the conjunction is the greatest darkness is the new moon. The greatest brightness is the full moon. And the moon gets brighter until it gets darker after that. And that's our basically yin yang, our light darkness that we have followed through for the planet signs, houses, aspects from the beginning. There is another way that people determine, they try to dread meaning into the aspects, and that's by numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, each has a different quality. So a whole note, a half note, a quarter note, of an interval. You can do it by sound, you can do it by numbers. There's many ways of finding relevance out of aspects. It's kind of so many factors, but okay, we're just going to start through this. The aspects, well, this is a bit of the numbers to start with. You know, when we have the aspects, they start out basically, the conjunction is 1/1, it's 0 degrees, 2 planets in the same degree in conjunction, just like 2 people in conjunction. There's a certain amount of stress, but there's activity and there's energy. So energy is kind of generated. There's an activity generated at the conjunction. The next, mathematically, the next part of the circle is 1/2 of the circle, 180 degrees. So the conjunction has the symbol of the circle with one line sticking up, because it's really 2 planets and at the same place. And the opposition is 1/2 of a circle. It's 180 degrees. And it's given the symbol 2 planets oppose each other on line. So that's the opposition, 2 planets with a line separating them. And it's a stressful aspect. 1/2, 1/4 stressful aspects, but it's one that deals with awareness and contrast, because you're as far away, one planet is as far away from the other as it can be. You can see each other clearly. You get as much a contrast from 2 planets being opposed as you will. 2 planets being conjunct. You don't have the contrast. Their energies merge into each other. They work together. Effectively, their energies are joined. So just like people, when you're in conjunction, you get energized. And then, well, you get at opposition, say, who needs this? Then you come back, I need it, and you come back for the next conjunction. So this is the basic polarity of going, but really the divided polarity. After the conjunction, the light increases, until it gets to the full moon, or till it gets to the opposition. Then the light decreases till it comes back to the conjunction. The 1/4 after 1/8, it goes 1/1, 1/2, 1/4, which is 90 degrees a square. So it's half of a half, like it's like 1/2 of a half. It's the square. It's given the idea of 4 90-degree triangles, 1/4. So that's a stress and an aspect, but it's one of struggle. It's constructive because you're struggling to resolve something. So the square is midway between the conjunction and the opposition. So you have a waxing and a waning square. We'll get to that, but there's two different sides. But there's a stress. The square basically is that this is a stressful number. It's a point of having to struggle, having to make an effort, more to change things, to make an adjustment to the time of things. Really, you're juggling, it's struggling to make the change from the conjunction over to the opposition, towards the opposition, or from the opposition back to the conjunction. It's a struggle to adjust it one way or another. So, okay. Then if we take it one step further, you go to 1/8, a half a square, 1/8, 45 degrees. So 45 degrees, semi-square, it's a drawing of 45 degrees. But when you see the circle on the right, you'll see the 8 divisions of the circle, with the one division being 45 degrees, 8 45s. It's stress. There's a struggle to progress at the 45. At 45, it's closer to the conjunction. Just a bit of effort. Not as stressful as a square opposition, but it's still the next level. And probably, certainly, probably more distinct than you would see a trine or a sextile, because they're stressful, they stand out a bit more. And the 3/8, 135 degrees. So when one is between the conjunction and the square, the other is between the square and the opposition. So that's the 135, the sesquiquadrate, and it's 345 degrees between the trine and between the square and the opposition. So at 1/8, 3/8, and these are the next two. This is struggle to understand because it's closer to the opposition. 3/8, it's after the square, the stress, and then it moves the stress, the struggle to understand, to try and move towards. Now there's a waxing and a waning semi-square and sesquiquadrate. One is the struggle to push a little further than you started from. Whoa. Then the other is the struggle to understand a little bit more the results of what you're doing. That's the waxing. The second is you're having to adjust. The sesquiquadrate comes in. The waning sesquiquadrate will come in saying, I have to adjust my understanding. And the waning semi-square is like, oh, I can't keep going like this. I'm moving towards a new conjunction. There's a stress to finish the old to get towards the new. Simple. Keep them simple. Don't need to have a whole long paragraph to describe between this planet. It's enough that there's stress between Mars and Mercury, and that's going to put pressure on, a little pressure on it. This gives a bit of guidelines of how it can work, but better use just a keyword. I just like stress, and I work with the planets of stress, but I have inherent in me the opposition, conjunction squares and semi-squares. Those are the primary noticeable aspects. These are considered minor aspects, the 1/8 and the 1, because they're not on the first. They're smaller divisions. But okay, so these would be the first of the minor aspects. But then you have, I put the stress ones all first, as usual. So then you have 160 as the sextile. 1/6 of a circle, 60 degrees. 6, there's 60 divided circle 6 ways, 60 degrees. There you are. There's one sextile. It's harmonious, but it's closer to a conjunction. So the harmoniousness of the sextile is a little bit on the productive side. It's harmonious momentum. I mean, it could be argued anything that's not a stressful aspect, it's either a stressful aspect or it's something else. It's just not. But it's hard to define these for someone else because it's hard to hold on to and say this means this exactly, because it can be sort of like this, it can be sort of like, they can be different options, but the basic idea is that it adds a certain productivity and it aligns from the conjunction. The trine is 1/3. So the sextile is a major aspect, 1/6, and the trine is 1/3. So 1/1, 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, 1/5. We haven't used 1/5, 1/6, and 1/6. These are the major aspects. 1/3 is a trine. There's 3 120 degrees in a circle, and one of them, one side, 120 degrees is a trine. We allow for the orbs. And we've said this all before, where we use 7 degrees for the planet, between the planets, but if the sun or moon are involved, we go up to 10, we add up to 10 degrees. And there's all different astrologers have used different orbs and different wide, from very wide ones to very thin ones. I would say this is about a medium. My approach is a middle of the road sort of way. The extra few degrees is given because the sun and moon are so bright and significant. Okay, then you have the other minor aspects, 1/5 and 2/5. 1/5 of the circle, we never use this. It's awkward, like this, the 1/2, 1/2, 1/4, 1/6, and 1/3. So 1/2, 1/3, 1/3, 1/4, 1/6. They're all easy. They're easy to calculate. They're 30 degrees, 30-degree intervals from the conjunction. 30 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees, 120, and 180. These are our major aspects, most outstanding ones. And anything major in a person's life is going to be there in the major aspects. So if you're looking at stress patterns, you're going to see it in the major aspects. The minor ones are subtler, smaller things, smaller factors. So when you get into this, you want to read into it. You want to say, oh, this means this, oh, this means this. The quintile, because it's based on the 5. And there's a quintile and a biquintile. 144. They're aspects of, they're considered aspects of artistry or creative artistry. I found it very difficult to use the term artistry when it starts, if you're dealing with 10 people, have different concepts of what that is. And it's a puzzle how to design. So I don't find them that, I haven't found them that useful to work with. But anyways, these are they. And when you're dealing with the minor aspects, oh yeah, you usually only give about a 3-degree orb. You know, and you could say 3-degree orb, and with the sun or the moon, you might have yeah. So it's a 3-degree orb. There's a 1-degree overlap between the edge of the quintile and the sextile. And I tend to cut the sextile up at 69 degrees to allow for the quintiles to be there, but I can calculate them. I don't use them. I don't draw them in the main charts anymore. It's more of a distraction, but here they are.